Hello again, FA Cup winning Gooners. FA Cup 2014. Almost forgot the year. It's been such a long time, right, since the last trophy. Oops, I need to cover up my shirt because it should say Fab, as in Fabianski, the World Cup winning goalkeeper. I don't think so, but yeah, certainly the FA Cup winning goalkeeper. Would I have played him? That's the question you want to ask me, isn't it? I'll give you the answer to that. It's a quick yes. If you've read my blog, you'll know full well that yeah, I was fully in favour of starting Fabianski. Having seen the way he played today, though, I'm not so sure it was a great decision. But yeah, everyone's wise with hindsight, aren't they? But yeah, quite honestly, him tearing out of his area with the clock ticking down, and we're holding on to that 3-2 victory. He tears out of his area after Per Mertesacker slipped. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen a goalkeeper do. And that's one of the reasons why I won't be that unhappy to see the back of Fabianski. Having said that, I really want to say, well, I want to wish him well, and I also want to say that it's thanks to him largely that we actually got to the final. Obviously, his penalty saves against Wigan come to mind. Plus, he had a pretty solid tournament. So hats off to Fabianski, and good luck, and we wish him well. Obviously, he's not really good enough certainly not good enough to be first choice, and yeah, he probably did enough to be a second choice, but he's not happy with that. So like I said, I'm not going to labour the point. Wishing him well. I should do the same for Bakary Sagna, who I always call Bakary, just the way he breezes around when he's on the pitch. But sorry about the lame gag. But I don't think he was up to his best today. Defensively, we were all at sea at times. Obviously, we've got to thank Kieran Gibbs for keeping us in the game against Hull, because we could have gone three goals down had Kieran not headed one off the line. But Mertesacker, he just, I don't know, I wasn't overly impressed with him. I'm quite a big fan of Mertesacker. I'm not suggesting we get rid. Obviously, Sagna's going to get rid of himself, so it seems, making the trip up to Man City to be with his friends, Nasri and allegedly Nasri and Clichy. And you can't really blame him, because he does want to win league championships as well as the odd trophy every 9 years. And you can't blame him for that. But ultimately, I think we've just got to forget about Sagna. Sagna's been a good servant to the club, there's no doubt about that. But it's time we brought in a right back for the future. Whether Jenkinson is that already, I'm not really sure. It could be. I'm not gonna say Jenkinson isn't the real deal. I did say that in the very beginning when I first saw him. I said this guy's never going to make it at Arsenal in a month of Sundays, but he's proved me wrong, and I'm glad about that. But he hasn't actually made it his own position just yet. But I wouldn't be at all surprised if we just stick with what we've got, Jenkinson, and maybe we'll bring up somebody from the reserves, because after all, just because we won cups doesn't mean we're made of money, does it? Anyway, then looking at the two centre backs today, Koscielny scored that crucial goal. Aside from that, didn't really play that well, as I said, neither did Mertesacker. And then left back, Gibbs, yeah, had a reasonable game, but the Egyptian right winger really put him under a lot of pressure at times. But I thought Gibbsy did probably the best out of the back four for me. Then the reason I'm going through the team like this is because I still feel we're in need of some surgery, despite this win. I was going to say this regardless of the result, because I just thought, whether we win this or not, there is no faking the idea that we do need to rebuild this team, no matter what. It's got a certain amount of spirit, but has it got enough quality? Hull City made us look pretty average for a lot of that game, and Hull struggled against relegation for a lot of the season. Well, they were reasonably comfortable anyway, but they finished not that far off the relegation spots. So let's not forget about that. Anyway, Arteta, anyone that's listened to me before will have told you that my view of Arteta, he is one of those players that you need to have in the team, probably unappreciated by many. But it's got to the stage where now I'm starting to think perhaps he's losing his legs. Not that he was very quick in the first place, but he's been found out, and we need to play in a different way in order to continue playing Arteta, because quite frankly, I don't think it's working. Okay, we got the result today, by hook or by crook. But Arteta is being closed down so quickly that he seems unable to do anything about it. And he doesn't have It's just the way we play out defence, playing to him, and then he normally plays it back, but he gets closed down and loses the ball. He didn't lose it that much today, but he certainly wasn't at his best. And I think it may be because the system isn't suiting him. If you put somebody like Flamini alongside him, I think it might work a bit better. He needs a bit of protection. He's not naturally a defensive midfielder. That's what it really comes down to. So you're putting a square peg in a round hole, and it's no good complaining that he doesn't perform with the kind of roundness you'd expect from a round pin, because he's a square pin. So let's get that straight. He's a great passer of the ball, always has been, probably always will be. But if we're going to play him defensively, he's got very little pace. His stamina's quite good, but not amazing like Flamini. So put Flamini alongside him. Flamini will do his dirty work, and then you've got a decent Arteta. This way, we've got a half-baked Arteta, and clearly, it's not going to cut it against the better teams. Hull obviously gave it a good go today, but they're not a top team in the sort of Premier League sense of the word. So then, looking at the rest of the team, obviously we missed the Ox. He was out injured, and even Gibbsy played with a calf injury apparently. Wouldn't have known it the way he was tearing up and down the pitch. So yeah, I wouldn't say full marks to Gibbsy, but he was one of the better performers on the day. And well, Ramsey obviously scoring the winning goal, that tells you all you need to know. Whether he was man of the match or not, I'm not sure. I think he did pretty well. Not just because he scored a winning goal, but I would have given the man of the match award to a Hull City player, to be quite honest. I think Curtis Davis probably man of the match. Although once Sanogo came on as a sub, that really put the cat amongst the pigeons. I mean, Sanogo is a funny sort of cat to put amongst the pigeons, in that he's a hustler. He's a hustler and bustler, and he won't give anyone a moment's rest. He's not blessed with technique, or from what we're seeing so far, it doesn't appear to be. But what he has got is graft, a work ethic that to die for, really. And you play him alongside Giroud, and then suddenly you see the best out of Giroud. Obviously, I was a bit perturbed that so many people on Twitter were basically calling for Giroud's head and other parts of his anatomy, mainly because he wasn't playing very well. And I admit that. I'm a big Giroud fan, but I admit he wasn't playing well at all. But he was putting the effort in. He was chasing lost causes. He was closing down opponents. Could you say the same about Podolski? I'll answer that question. No, you couldn't. Podolski is more talented, arguably, than Giroud. He's certainly a better finisher than anybody else at the club. Giroud's probably second best finisher, or Walcott, one of those. You know, it's a bit of a guess who is the second best finisher, but certainly you've got to say that Podolski is the best finisher. Technically, he's one of the most gifted players at the club, but he's not putting the shift in. So I wasn't at all surprised when he got taken off. Although I say that, I thought it was the right decision. I was a little bit surprised because he hasn't been taken off ever since he complained about being taken off. So I thought Wenger's yielding to player pressure, in that he's allowing them to say something and then act upon it. Because I couldn't understand otherwise why Podolski was managing to stay on 90 minutes when he's clearly out of puff after say 60. But Wenger only makes subs normally on the 70th minute, so this was a bit of a turn up for the books, him actually changing things after an hour had gone on the clock. We'd still got 30 minutes to get a goal back, and that's not like Wenger at all. It was almost like he was panicking, totally unlike him. Anyway, I think it was a very tense occasion. Looking at the players, they looked tense. I know I was tense, really tense. I don't remember the last final I've been this tense for. It's been a while. So anyway, yeah, looking through the rest of the team, because Zola obviously got us back in the game with a tremendous strike. I was a bit surprised when he got taken off. He ran himself into the ground. No complaints there at all. Podolski on the left, well, it was almost like he was playing up front some of the time. I remember watching one of the Hull City breaks, and we had three players didn't even bother to chase back. Giroud being one of them, but he'd been chasing, defending from the front, if you like. Whereas Ozil and or Uzil, I can never pronounce his name right, but then neither can anybody else on Sky Sports. So that man Mesut, he wasn't chasing, neither was Podolski. So no wonder we went 2 down. If you don't chase back, this sort of thing's going to happen. It's not rocket science. If you do not defend from the front, you will come unstuck at the back, and that's exactly what happened. Okay, again, it's easy to be wise after the event, but I've been saying this kind of thing a lot. So I'm not saying Wenger's going to listen, by the way. Of course not. It seems like they just get told, go out and express yourselves. That is a team talk, from what I can gather. Not saying I want Wenger gone. I'm not saying that, and I've been reluctant to say that all along. Not too sure about that, but yeah, obviously, looking at the performance, it was just about good enough against the mediocre-ish Hull City side, who were very fired up though. Some of their players, like Fryer up front, he worked tirelessly for the cause. So many players are impressed for Hull. The right winger, the Egyptian right winger, I can't think of his name suddenly. He was I wouldn't say immense, but he caused us a lot of problems. And it wasn't because Gibbs was playing badly either. He was just actually on fire. And then of course Curtis Davis. Then Alex Bruce was getting away with a lot of fouling, and then obviously had to go off. But he put in a decent shift as well. So I think the Hull City players got a lot to be proud of. We also should be pleased, of course, and I am genuinely pleased as well. Anyone that was near me will testify. I'm genuinely pleased about winning the FA Cup, but we must not lose sight of the fact we do need to rebuild this team, this squad. It's not good enough. Sanogo comes on, gives us a plan B. The plan B being, okay, let's forget about playing football. Let's go for brute force. That may work against a team that are employing brute force to such good effect, like Hull were. So it was fighting fire with fire by putting Sanogo on. I think Wenger did the right thing. And Sanogo may, in time, show a lot more technique than we probably give him credit for, and perhaps he'll even score a goal. But I've got to say, I was very happy with Sanogo's contribution. Rosicky coming on as a sub, not my favourite, but he did well. Wilshere, obviously, we always expect him to do well, and he didn't let us down. So those two came on, and they were decent subs. They added a bit more vibrancy to our attacks. I was a bit worried about what they were going to give us defensively. As people that follow me on Twitter will know, I was asking for Flamini to come on not too long after half-time because I felt we were being overrun in midfield. It wasn't so much that all the midfielders were playing out of their skins for Hull, but Livermore was having a pretty good game. I would have said in the first half he was the most dominant player. I know Huddleston gets all the pundits because he can actually pass the ball with pretty good accuracy. Aside from that, it doesn't do a lot. But Livermore, to me, was more involved in what was going on. If anyone wants to check the Optus stats and let me know, see if I'm right, that would be interesting to know. But you can't base it all on statistics, but it does mean something. But we were being overrun because we had Arteta there. Arteta not being the fastest out of the traps, so we got him. We had Cazorla, who's mainly going forward, and then who do we got? We got Podolski and Ramsey, who was mostly going forward as well. So there, Arteta's just was holding in front of our defence, and our defence were all at sea, and it was just too much. It was almost getting washed away, if I can continue that sea metaphor just a little bit longer. So yeah, there you have it. We were FA Cup winners. But let me say this one more thing though before I go. Arsene Wenger, is he going to stay or is he going to go? My feeling is he's going to leave. You might call that bizarre, but that's just my gut feel. I mean, Lee Dixon in the ITV studio was saying something about Wenger won't like being tossed up in the air, being given the bumps, and obviously Roy Keane said, well, he wished they'd done it to Sir Alex, but not caught him, which was a bit bitter and twisted, some might say. But yeah, obviously Wenger's well loved, and certainly now because he's won a cup, and maybe it is time for him to go. I don't particularly want him to go, but I've just got this funny feeling he might say goodbye to the club. But obviously saying goodbye, Sanya, Fabianski, me in a moment, not to the club, but just to this vlog, but saying hello, Mr. Fabregas. I really hope so. I have no grounds to believe that it's true, but obviously from what we've heard, it's not had the best of seasons at Barcelona, been even booed on occasions, allegedly. Can't believe anybody would boo Fabregas. But if you're listening to this, please come back. Till next time. Oh,